Hello everyone, I'm Morali and welcome to the channel. So originally I didn't want to make this video per se, but I ended up deciding that yeah, maybe I should make this video just to kind of give more stuff on the channel. I really want to upload more videos. I've realized that I didn't have that many videos on my channel. A lot of the videos are my playthrough videos and my live streams and stuff, but when you actually look at the videos that I've made, it hasn't been that many videos, and I really want to like get more stuff done before End of Dragons. So I think making an impressions video was a good idea. So here we are. So Shing Jea Island, right? I just made a video in Guild Wars 1 about that, and it was really funny because when I was making the video, I always thought of maybe they're gonna do like a preview of the different areas, and then they are doing that now. They're doing it for the other areas as well, and it was really cool because once they announced it, I was like, I really have to finish this video, because I was like halfway through the video, but then I sat down, I was like, I really want to make this video. I want to release at the same time. So it came out. I think people are really liking it. I had a great time making it. It's so nostalgic to me, really fun. So, but I wanted to talk about what we have seen in Guild Wars 2. So let's go through the different parts, right? So I've kind of broken this down into like the different parts of what the stream were. So the first part I want to talk about the map, just pretty much the area itself. Of course, a lot of people have complained that it's oversaturated, but I think by itself it's very beautiful. And yes, it does have oversaturated. It's a lot of green, a lot of blues. It's very strong in the color and stuff. But my hope, and I did talk about this on my stream, my hope is that they're making this in a contrast to the city maps. I'm hoping that the Kaineng City and maybe even the Aquawild Forest, they're going to be a little bit of a darker tone to kind of contrast that, because that's what Guild Wars 1 was about as well. You went from Shing Jea Island, which was this beautiful, really great area, to going to Kaineng City, which was this destroyed city. Everything is brown and gray and just destroyed. And then you go into like the Jade Sea and the Aquawild Forest, which are also very opposing. So they kind of always had that like duality thing going on, I feel like, where Shing Jea was opposing Kaineng City and Aquawild Forest was opposing the Jade Sea kind of thing. And I think factions always had a huge duality thing, and I think we can continue this. You know, we've talked about the Deep Sea Dragon stuff, so I really hope that maybe they're gonna do some contrast in the city, in the Kaineng City maps. Of course, there's a lot of water and beaches, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed seeing that. I know that ArenaNet tries to stay away from underwater combat. Like, they hate it and they don't want to update it and they don't want to do any new stuff with it. I totally get it, you know, but I think that it's nice to at least have that in the game, just because of course it's Shing Jea Island, so you gotta have beaches, and so it felt really great seeing the beaches and the water and stuff. It's really cool. It's a big part, I feel like, of Shing Jea, and I think they captured that really well. Of course, there's a ton of details too. They walked through that little town, or all the little towns that they had, and ArenaNet is so good about their little details and stuff. They really do a nice job with that, so I was really happy. And then of course there was one part when they were going to Zendaijan. Is it Zendaijan? In Guild Wars 1 they called it Zendaijan, but then Nick on the stream called it Zendaijun, so I'm not sure. But as soon as I saw that library, I was like, holy crap. I was so happy to see that. Going through that valley was just fantastic. I was like, this is awesome. I know it doesn't look anything like it. It's a lot greener. There's like bamboo everywhere, which we didn't have in Guild Wars 1 and stuff, but it was awesome. I was really excited about that. So overall, I think the map is beautiful. It looks great, and yes, I know it's oversaturated, but I hope that maybe ArenaNet can give us more options in graphics as well, where we can maybe tone it down, because I'm a fan of like darker tones too. When I look at like Bloodborne or like the Dark Souls series, you know, that kind of atmosphere where it's like dark and a little bit grayed out, like everything has like kind of the color sucked out of it a little bit in certain instances to make it seem like darker and stuff. I really like that. I'm a fan of that. So I hope that maybe we can get an option in the graphics options at some point, maybe to do that or something. Not sure. Next up, we have events and hearts. So I love the new ideas that they're doing. They're trying to do these new twists on things. You know, they're trying to do new approaches to already existing systems, and I really enjoy that, because ArenaNet, as we know, sometimes they bite off more than they can chew, and it gets sometimes to the point where it's like, did you really need to add that? Did you really need to do this? But I really like that they're looking at the way that they can do events and hearts and change it. So there was one part specifically, let's get into details there, is the dodging when they were facing the Naga Shaman and they had to like dodge to stay in the ring in order to progress. I think it's that's a huge thing that I don't know if people realize this, but this really helps explain the dodging mechanics, really show how important it is to be able to dodge. And it's in such an easy way where they didn't die if they didn't dodge the waves, they just got knocked back. And that's a great way to really get into the mechanics of the game. I really hope that they do this with like defiance bars too, where they have events where you have to break the break bar in order to like defeat an enemy or something. And I'll get into that a little bit later as well. But I really enjoyed that. I thought that was such a great thing to do. It was really awesome. Another great example I think is the having the mounts be useful for events, where they had the raptor pull the supplies that you had to like distribute throughout the city. Like, that's so cool. I know that it kind of looked a little bit like it wasn't completely finished or whatever, but just the idea itself is amazing, because I really enjoy them having these different systems that interact with each other, because we know that the mounts are like the best mounts in the MMO industry. Like, Guild Wars 2 has really amazing mounts, and being able to use those in events in that way is great. I think it's so fantastic. I was so excited when I saw that. And then another one is where once you finish a renowned heart, you get this like boon. We don't know really what it does or whatever. So it's just great ways where they really like look at these old systems and how to improve them without having to change them up. They're just taking what they have and they're improving on it. And I think that's great. I was really excited to see that. And then another huge part that I really liked, which to me brings the whole area just to life, is the day and night cycle thing, where at night you have the NPCs go inside the house and then you have the spirits wander around. Oh my god, that was so good. And then have like specific events happen at night and specific events happen during the day, and then different NPCs are out at night and different NPCs are out during the day. And oh my god, it was so good. I was like, yes. Because you look at other places where ghosts are, for example, namely Ascalon, right? Ascalon has a ton of ghosts and they're always there. They're just wandering around in a field. You know, you can go to Plains of Ashford and you just walk around and there's ghosts everywhere. They're just day or night, they're just walking around, which is fine because that's kind of the premise, that like Ascalon is just invaded by these ghosts and stuff. But I really like the like day and night cycle. It really makes the world feel even more alive than it already is, and it was great. I saw that and I was like, that is a genius idea. It was really cool. Gives it a really nice feel of like, oh, it is nighttime because we have the spirits out now. Because we have that little problem, I think, in the game where nighttime doesn't really feel like nighttime just because of how the graphics are set and stuff. It doesn't get too dark, so you kind of sit there and you're like, okay, this doesn't really feel like a nighttime thing. But with having those events and having those things happen, I think that's a great idea. So I really love the new twist that they have done with the events and the hearts. I think it's really awesome. Next up, I want to talk about the mounts and gliding in the taxi. And I know that was a little bit of a controversial thing for some people, but I do want to get into this a little bit in detail because I think it's a fantastic idea. Now, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, you get raptors and you get springers for free pretty much. You're giving everything for free away, blah blah blah. I think that it's a great idea. It's first of all a good way to promote their other expansions because you only get the base level. You only get the base raptor, you only get the base springer, you only get the base gliding. You don't get any of the upgrades, and you need the other expansions. So that's one good way for them to make some more money, because people are going to be coming into the game and they're going to look at the newest expansion and they're going to be like, hey, do you need the other expansions? And people are going to say, oh no, it's a different area, it's a different story, it's all different things, like you don't need that stuff, right? And then it's going to be like, okay, well, this really reminds those same people that only buy End of Dragons to like, oh, there's other expansions and you want this gliding that we just gave you? Yeah, well, you're going to have to buy Heart of Thorns in order to level that up. And I think that's a great way. And I think this was necessary for them to do because they want to have the freedom to create this open environment where you can move around everywhere. I would hate to be restricted in the way that they make the maps just because they want to think of like the people that don't have raptors or the people that don't have gliding or the people that don't have springers and stuff. I really like that they gave them out so that way we know the maps are going to be utilized. Like we're going to get different layers because there's springers, so we can jump to different layers. We can jump up and down and we can go up in the Ekwald Forest into the canopy and stuff. I really like that. You know, we can have like giant chasms that we can jump over with our raptors. It's like it really enables them to do things. Jumping puzzles that utilize gliding, those are usually more fun than the ones that that don't utilize it, I think, in my opinion anyways, because they're more complex and they're usually a little bit longer and they span a bigger area, and I think they're just so much more fun. So I think that's really good. And then of course the taxi idea is fantastic because we are going back to being focused on exploration, which Guild Wars 2 is huge on. I mean, the base game was all about map completing and going around just adventuring in the world and stuff, and being on your mound really makes you feel like you are actually adventuring in the world. So it really helps to give new players abilities to move around more between different outposts and stuff like that, but it also helps with really showing off your maps and really showing the different areas and stuff, and you can stop at any time. I think it's a great way to kind of show off their maps more rather than having to fight enemies. You can just sit on a mountain and look around and stuff, and I think that's really like cinematic, and it helps make the world feel really big and really make it feel like an adventure. And it really brings back the feel of Guild Wars 1. For the ones that haven't played Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 1, you had to go to outposts, and the actual like areas that you had to walk around in, you didn't have any waypoints. If you died, you were resurrected at a resurrection shrine, and if you like disconnect or whatever, you have to like load back into the area. And if you walk, like sometimes there's like areas where you have to like walk really far. Like Eye of the North has a ton of areas where you have to like walk really far, and that makes it feel like a huge world. It makes it feel massive, and I'm glad that they're going back to that whole idea. I really enjoy that feeling of Guild Wars 1 and the exploration of Guild Wars 2, kind of combining the two ideas there. So then one point I had was the enemies. So I saw some people complaining about how Naga like reused the skeletons of Crate pretty much, which someone else in chat was kind of like, well, what are they supposed to do? They're serpents. And I completely agree with that. They're serpents. There's only so many ways you can make those enemies move and stuff. And I talked about this in my underwater expansion discussion video. In that video, I talked about how they're very similar, the Crate and Naga, and how they're making them feel very different. Well, they're making them feel different by giving them different models that are very colorful. The Naga are very colorful. They're very bright blue and bright pink, and they have a lot more fins, and they're a lot more like flashy, and they have different skills and stuff. So they're making them feel unique in their own way. Okay, now this is gonna sound a little bit hypocritical, but I was kind of disappointed with the Kappa, because the Kappa are just a reskin of the Nuhawk. And yes, you might say, okay, well, it's the same deal with the Naga and the Crate, but it's really not, because as a player that played Guild Wars 1, I enjoyed Kappa because they had like their ice magic spells. They had like water trident and stuff like that. It was like really cool. I remember they could deal a bunch of damage because they were like elementalists who were like these high damage dealing classes. And we haven't seen a lot of the Kappa. We haven't seen a lot of different, maybe there's going to be different classes of them, but they're kind of like the Nuhawk. And even Nick said that they're all about CC and stuff, and they're just wielding their hammer, and they're just like a knockoff of the Nuhawk. They don't really feel like Guild Wars 1 Kappa. So it's nice to see them come back, but then I really feel like they didn't do them justice as far as I can see. Maybe we're going to see different models, maybe different abilities that they have later on. The expansion hasn't released yet, so we don't know, but as of right now, not super huge on them. Glad that they're back, but I think they're a little bit underused there, and I think it would really go in conjunction with Naga magic. The Naga magic is all about like water, right? We saw that there's a bunch of like water vortexes and waves and all kinds of stuff, and it would be really cool to have the Kappa be like the ice mages, where they use like ice magic, and that kind of goes like in conjunction. That's all categorized under water magic in Guild Wars 2. But yeah, other than that, I think the enemies look pretty cool. I thought it was pretty awesome. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the training grounds, and I'm kind of giving the training grounds their own area because I think that was the biggest part in the stream for me. I am so happy that they're adding this. I recently had a video where I kind of complained about ArenaNet not teaching the players how to do the mechanics, like how to do certain things, how to deal with break bars, how to dodge properly and stuff. And as if they like listened to me or something. I mean, of course, clearly probably not, because there've been a lot of complaints from other people as well, but they're fixing this with the training grounds, where they're really showing people how to dodge, and they're showing them how to do these different things, break bars. And there's even a little area where Nick said like, oh, they explained something up there as well, but we're not going over there. We're not showing that. So it seems like there's going to be even more mechanics being added to the game with End of Dragons. So seeing that was really cool. I just really enjoyed that. Having the little jumping puzzle, the little practice jumping puzzle. I mean, just the whole thing, having that little arena where you can watch people fight and stuff is so good. I love the whole idea of the training training grounds. I think that honestly to me made the stream, where I was just so excited to see that, where they're really just, they understand that they need to teach these mechanics, and I think that's going to make the player base just overall so much better, because there's a lot of people that have gone through the game just pressing 1 the whole time because they've been zerging and they've just been kind of following other people or whatever, and they don't really understand. But learning about combos, learning about break bars, learning about dodging and stuff is so important, and I think that it's going to be really great. It's going to be really good for the game. So yeah, that was pretty much the training grounds there. So overall, I really enjoyed the stream. I think it was really nice. I am kind of sad that we didn't get to see the monastery, and there's a lot of areas that we didn't get to see. Of course, we didn't get a look at the map and stuff like that, but I think overall not bad. I think it was great. They showed us little things here and there. I want to talk about, people were saying that, oh, they haven't finished any of the stuff and they should be in like bug fixing mode right now, and they shouldn't be creating all new content. Now, I'm not a game developer. I've never made a game, like even thought about making anything like that, so I don't know if this is where they're supposed to be. I don't know if they're supposed to be in like bug fixing mode or what they're supposed to be doing, but it's very maybe concerning. I'm not sure. I was talking about this the other day where I said that I wouldn't even care if they delayed it even more if they have to make the expansion really good. To me, that doesn't really matter as long as they give us something to work with. Having a content drought kind of sucks, honestly, for the game, because it's making me bored, kind of like look at like other things maybe, which Guild Wars 2 is like my main game, so it's kind of like but let me know what you guys think about that particular part down below, because I don't know. I'm not a game developer. I don't know what it takes to make a game. So is this concerning that there, you know, the girl doesn't have arms and a ton of the text hasn't been done, and they're talking about like they have to build certain things from the ground up? I don't know. It just seemed like there was a lot of stuff that needed to still be done. I have a theory that I want to kind of throw out there. I think maybe there's a possibility that they have made the maps in reverse. Maybe there's a possibility where they started with the other maps, like they already finished the Jade Sea and they already finished the Equivald Forest and stuff, and Shing Jea Island is like the last that they're working on right now. I mean, that could be a possibility. It's not that probable, I want to say, but that would be really cool if they like went backwards. They started with like the end gamey area and then they kind of worked their way back, because in a design perspective, I could see that actually making sense, because you kind of want to look at what you need for the expansion. If I'm making Shing Jea Island and then I go through the other maps that later on in the expansion, then I would have to probably revisit Shing Jea Island, because there's a lot of mechanics maybe that I need to explain, or things that I can add to that beginning area that, you know, I added later on. So having it go backwards is pretty much like, you know, what's expected of the player character by the end of the expansion. So by the time they get to making Shing Jea Island, they already know everything they need to put in the map, everything they need to explain, and, you know, mechanic wise it would kind of work out. So maybe that's a little theory that I have. But yeah, overall I enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate everyone watching. Like I said, I do stream every Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Usually is when I go live, maybe a little bit later, maybe by 10 o'clock, and we go for a couple hours. I stream different things, and yeah, so come by, say hi or whatever, and I appreciate everyone watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.